What is it now? Lightning Streak snarled. Oh, hello, Rainbow Dash. Soren's heart skipped a beat. Hello. What brings you to our neck of the woods? Lightning Streak asked, trying to make himself look much cooler than he actually was. Drop the axe, you try hard. Is Soren here? Yeah, he is, he muttered crossly, turning his head towards Soren's bunk. Good luck getting him out. Soren, get your butt down here, she called. You hear that, Soren? Your girlfriend wants you. Lightning Streak teased, picking up his books and tossing himself back into his bunk. Soren reluctantly looked over the edge of his bunk and locked eyes with Rainbow Dash. I guess you two are going to head out, Lightning Streak asked, clearly wishing they were somewhere else. Soren's stomach churned and he suddenly wished he was back under his blanket. Exactly. Just because exams are over doesn't mean we don't have to do our daily routine. Right, Soren? You've missed it for the last week. No, he muttered glumly, slithering out of his bunk with a speed that made a sloth look supersonic. Let's go then, she ordered, pulling Soren by his mane down to the training field. Only a few students were around, the majority having gone into Clousdale itself to celebrate the end of their education. You ready to get your butt whooped? Rainbow Dash jeered, already in position to begin their daily calisthenics. I guess so. You were going easy on me, Rainbow Dash complained an hour and a half later. I know you can do better than what you did. I still beat you on the obstacle course, Soren reminded her. I had a bad start, she countered. Rubbish. I beat you fair and square. Whatever, Rainbow said, brushing it off as casually as she did anything else. They trotted towards the shower block silently, a stark constant to their usual chatty behaviour. If she had noticed Soren's dark mood, she hadn't commented on it yet. Something Soren was silently grateful for. Soren grunted as he noticed the showers for the stallion was closed and locked. No big deal. Just come over to the mayor's one. I'll just have a shower later, Soren said, happy to slink off back to his dorm alone. Nah, if you go back to the dorms in your state, you'll reduce the living population to 0. Shower now, Rainbow ordered. But that's the mayor's shower, Soren complained. Well, you're most of the way there already, Rainbow jeered. Some pony might see me. Rainbow Dash gestured to an empty fields. Who? We're the only ones down here. Every pony else is up getting smashed up at Clousdale. But you'll be in there, and you won't be wearing anything. Rainbow shrugged. I'm not wearing anything now. What's the difference with a bit of water on me? Soren had to admit she had a point. All right, whatever. It's your fault, though, if I get in trouble. Just get going. I think I'm struggling for air here. Soren grinned thinly and entered the showers, slightly surprised. It was the exact same as the one he was used to. He chose a shower at random and turned the tap, letting the cold water run over him. A few seconds later, another spray of water appeared next to him as Rainbow Dash started her own. What are you doing? Soren asked as it finally clicked she was showering next to him. Having a shower? She answered. Got a problem with that? Did you have to take the one next to me? Soren asked, averting his eyes. She snickered quietly. Embarrassed? Soren stole a glance at her. Her mane was slick with water and her wings were unfurled at her side, resting with the tips in the water at her hooves. She smiled and spat a jet of water she had poured in her mouth at him. Lovely, Soren said deadpan. He shut his eyes and imagined that this wasn't happening. A week ago, he would have been thrilled to be showering next to Rainbow Dash after the formal. Well, she'd been pretty clear of what she thought of him. Why was she doing this now, then? Hey, Soren, what do you think about Lightning Streak? Well, he's a very clever pony who can also be a bit of an arse, Soren said back. Why? Well, before he called me your girlfriend. What do you think of that? I don't understand. Soren, open your eyes, she ordered. Reluctantly, Soren opened his eyes to see Rainbow standing a few centimetres in front of his face, and a shy look on her face. Well, maybe he's right, she said, blinking some water out of her eyes. Soren's heart hammered inside his chest. But I thought you... he stammered before she pressed her lips against his. Oh, that surprise squealed. That's so cute! You're ruining the moment, Soren snapped. Soren's brain went blank as she pressed against his lips. It was much better than anything he'd ever imagined. Who knows how long he stayed there, lips locked with Rainbow Dash's, the water from the shower head pattering down on their heads softly. Although he knew it was mere seconds, it felt like hours. It was with great reluctance he broke the contact and pushed her away. I'm sorry. I can't, he whispered. His chest felt like it wanted to burst. Rainbow Dash looked hurt. What do you mean? I thought this is what you wanted. Soren felt like a knife had been stuck in his gut. I do, but I'm seeing somebody else. Wait, what? Surprised shrieked, living up to her name and making Soren jump a good meter. Please, don't interrupt. It was a painful moment, and I'd rather it not last longer than it needs to. Soren said sternly, hiding his emotion with a skill that a rock would be jealous of. You were seeing somebody else. Let me explain. What? Rainbow Dash yelled. I thought you liked me. You avoid me all week, and when I finally muster up the courage to show you how I feel about you, you tell me you're taken. Soren felt the knife go deeper. I'm so sorry. Sorry? You're sorry? Do you know how stupid I feel? You left me hanging for 2 years, Soren snapped back, his shame replaced by anger. How do you think I feel? Rainbow Dash ignored him. Who's this mare anyway? One of those ones that keep following me around. We've had a few lunches together, and she seems nice enough. Rainbow was close to tears. Do you like her? Not really, no, Soren admitted, holding back 2 years' worth of emotion with great difficulty. Then just dump her. You said so yourself. 2 years. You've had, what, a week with this mare? She sniffled, tears running down her face and mixing with the shower spray. You left me for 2 years in doubt. 2 years. When I finally worked up the courage to tell you how I felt, you turned me down, Soren said, surprised by how vengeful he sounded. The world doesn't revolve around you. What? You don't understand, Rainbow Dash cried. The knife slipped deeper. I've liked you for a while, Soren. I just took my time telling you. I was so shocked when you said you liked me at the formal. I was going to tell you afterwards, but you vanished. Well, you're too late, Soren said, trying to not show how hurt and stupid he felt. You had your chance. Her bottom lip trembled and she reached out to Soren, but he pushed her back. I can't, Soren said again. Screw you, she screamed. I never want to see your pathetic face again. I hope you rot, you bastard, she yelled, kicking Soren squarely in the jaw and knocking him to the ground. Soren's head spun as he hit the tiles, and before he could cry out in pain, she had already bolted, a faint rainbow trail in the air, the only sign of her passing. Rainbow Dash, come back, please, Soren cried, trying to stand, but his body refused. He let his head fall against the tiles again. I'm sorry, he whimpered. Surprised jaw hung open. It took a moment for her to regain basic motor skills, and even then it just opened and closed like some sort of obscene grinder. Yeah, Soren said quietly. It wasn't exactly a high point. He rubbed his eyes tiredly. And what then? Did you chase her down? By the time I managed to get off the floor and get back to the dorm, she was gone. Lightning Streak said he'd never seen any pony move so fast. She just Left? Didn't even graduate? Yeah, dropped out in the last couple of weeks. Not that it mattered much in the end. Turns out she was failing most of her subjects anyway. Seems like she may have stuck around in our last year for me. And what about the Wonderbolts? She didn't get an acceptance letter. Lightning Street had a look around her dorm later. Apparently, rampant narcissism is not a desired trait. No, she only recently got admitted to the academy, Soren said stoically. Well, that'd just be the kick in the pants, Surprise said sadly. What about this other mare? Was she worth it? Soren shook his head. Found her with another guy's musket in her firearm slot the next day. Kind of gave me the impression she really wasn't that interested. That's a really unusual euphemism, Surprise said, choking back a laugh. What was her name? Funny. I don't remember. I can clearly remember her moans of ecstasy as the other guy nailed her, though. They say you always remember your first time, but I don't think it's supposed to apply when somebody else is having sex with your girlfriend. Surprise laughed despite the look of distraught on her face. Soren found himself chuckling with her. Much to his surprise, their mirth expanded. They sat in quiet contemplation. So, that's why you hid from her tonight? Surprise asked finally. Thankfully, no, Soren said back. I didn't see her until I became a fully fledged Wonderbolt. She saved my life, something which I have yet to repay her for. And then later that year she saved my dinner at the Grand Galloping Gala. First one I'd been to, and I was back in Spitfire for the night. I really wanted to talk to her, to reconcile. Surprise looked at him, a look of suspense on her face. Spitfire forbade me from talking to her. Something about learning discipline and respecting the uniform. That's rubbish, Soren shrugged. Yeah, she's a captain. Anyway, I didn't see her again for a while after that, but I heard things. Things like beating Discord, smashing dragons in the face, and appearing in a major theatre production. Surprise snorted in amusement. Varied hobbies and interests, I see. Some pony could make a TV series out of her life. Oh, don't be ridiculous, Soren snapped. You're just being stupid. Yes, sir, Surprise giggled. So, when did you see her next? A royal wedding? Captain of the Guards and that princess. You remember that one? Too many princesses. I lost count after the first two. Was it the pink or the purple one? Surprise! Focus! Soren berated her. Right, wedding. What happened? We bumped into each other, and she asked me to dance with her. Something about making up for the horrendously awkward dancing at our formal. Needless to say, it was still horrendously awkward. You slept with her, didn't you? Surprise asked. Sure she had the answer. A passionate session of lovemaking followed by a speedy getaway will all make almost any mare indignant. No, I didn't. You already asked me that, remember? Surprise stared at Soren silently for a full minute before finally exploding into anguish. Then why did you hide from her tonight? She finally managed, ignoring the fact that at least half of the patrons in the hall were now looking in her direction. Soren looked down sheepishly as the crowd slowly lost interest. I've never apologized to her. Well, at least when she wasn't trying to turn me into a floor decoration. Then stop being a coward and tell her you're sorry. How bad can it be? Not quite as easy when you've developed feelings for them, Soren admitted. Surprise said triumphantly. You still want to sleep with her? Soren gave Surprise a bemused look. What's with you and saying I sleep with every pony? Well, you do. Soren sighed sadly. I think it'd be easier just to just let it go. Nut up and get over some stupid crush I had in Flight Academy. But you still like her now, don't you? Surprise objected. You said so yourself, she was special. Surprise, I haven't held a conversation with her for years. Heck, she probably already has a boyfriend, Soren muttered. Since when do I have a boyfriend? Soren coughed and yelped in surprise at the same. time, and a sound like a dying dog coming out of its mouth instead. Surprise turned an even paler shade of white, if that were even possible. The two Wonderbolts turned in unison to find the amused face of Rainbow Dash behind them. A white and light blue dress was draped over her, and a simple necklace was hanging from her neck, swinging slightly as she chuckled lowly. "Hey," she said simply. "How long have you been there?" Sorin asked. She shrugged. "A while. I mean, why look at pictures of Wonderbolts when there are two real ones right here?" Sorin's mouth opened and closed like a stranded fish. He wasn't sure if he should stare at her eyes or her hooves, and in the end looked like he was checking her out vigorously. "Why are you staring? Have you completely forgotten what you were going to say, or did they just tell you that works in OCs? You know my mind goes blank when I go with my old standby, which of course is go screw yourself. Do I need to include instructions with that?" Rainbow said to Sorin, a little too sweetly. She turned to Surprise. "I haven't met you before. A surprise, isn't it?" "Yes, Sorin told me so much about you," Surprise blurted out. "Just for the record, despite what I've said about him sleeping around, I'm sure he's a loving and dedicated stallion." "Surprise, shut up! Consider it a standing order," Sorin barked embarrassedly. "Go get us some drinks, would you? A scotch would be nice." "I'll have what he's having," Rainbow said. "Thank you," Sorin said, nodding his head as Surprise scurried off. "I thought they taught you to check your six in flight school," Rainbow taunted. "Wing pony comes to lead pony. Surprise should have seen you," Sorin said quickly. "Excuses, excuses," she uttered. "How's life?" she asked lamely. "Decent. Yours?" "Could be better." Sorin grunted before falling silent. He examined Rainbow Dash again. "Why were you spying on us?" "Already told you. Why look at paintings when you can talk to them in the flesh? Just my luck, you bring up Flight Academy." "I'd rather not bring it up again," Sorin said. "You wanted to apologise," Rainbow Dash countered. Her magenta eyes wobbled slightly, the only betraying factor of her otherwise rock-hard exterior. "I'd appreciate it if you did." Sorin sighed deeply. "I'm sorry for turning you down so harshly. I was an idiot, and I shouldn't have taken joy in your suffering." She nodded once. Apology accepted. Sorin continued to stare at her. "What?" she asked. "I think maybe you should apologise as well." Rainbow stared at him impassively. "I have nothing to apologise for. Kicking me in the face was a bit of an overreaction, I think." "Fair point." "I apologise for kicking you in the face. And for not being open with your feelings and leaving me bleeding in the girls' showers." Rainbow snorted in derision. "The first one is a fact of life, and you deserve the second one, you big sissy." Soren's objection was cut off by Surprise, returning with their drinks. "Thank you," they said in unison. Soren fumbled around with his glass awkwardly before taking an appreciative sip. "Soren, there is something I should tell you," Rainbow said. "I have a child. He's yours." "What?" Soren spluttered, covering both mares in a thin layer of scotch. Rainbow blinked twice. That was a horrible joke that backfired in the most amusing way possible. "Any other life-changing announcements?" Soren coughed. "I've got more scotch just in case." "You told me you didn't sleep with her," Surprise said, outraged. "I haven't," Soren objected. "Then why'd you even believe her?" "Because he's a gullible fool," Rainbow said with a smirk. "I want to still saw him for a while." "You don't mind, do you, Surprise?" She shook her head, winking outrageously at Soren. "Good, Soren, you're coming with me." "Do I have a say in the matter?" Soren asked, following her regardless. "Well, I'm not going to drag you along if that's what you're asking." "Where are we going?" he asked as she trotted outside and a wave of warm air assaulted him. "You'll see." "You'll see" ended up being Lower Cloudesdale of all things. More specifically, their old Flight Academy. Soren realised with surprise They'd circled high above the academy once before Rainbow Dash directed him towards the playing fields. Should we be here? Soren asked nervously, eyes open for a security guard. Soren, it's nearly midnight. I don't think any pony is going to be out here at this time of night. Don't you worry your pretty little head about it. Whatever. What did you drag me all the way out here for then? Thought we should come back to where it all started, she said, prancing around the end of the field with a look of nostalgia. Remember all those days we spent hurtling down the track? I remember being a fair way behind you most of the time. Enjoying the view, no doubt, Rainbow sneered. Naturally. Now, come on, what are we really here for? Soren demanded. My favourite race was the 500-metre dash, Rainbow Dash said. If you recall, I was rather good at it. Soren nodded, wondering what she had planned. I'm still very good at it. Still undefeated, 6,082 to 0. You want to race, don't you? Soren asked, picking up on her train of thought. Rainbow Dash nodded. Yeah, for old time's sake. Maybe you'd like to sweeten the deal a little, though. How about a little bet? What sort of wager are we talking about? If you win, which won't happen, by the way, I'll go on a date with you, she said teasingly, just to satisfy your stupid academy crush. Oh, what about after the date? Soren asked, mouth suddenly dry with excitement. We'll see, she said simply. And what about if I lose? Well, I cover you in a bottle of maple syrup and then let my pet turtle lick it off. You then have to go on a date with me. That's disgusting, Soren complained. That's my first and final offer. Fine, whatever. Deal. Soren grumbled, shaking her hoof to seal the deal. Take your spot and get ready to be covered in maple syrup, Rainbow Dash laughed, shedding her dress and taking a ready position behind the start line. You look better without the dress, Soren remarked, without thinking, admiring her sleek and well-toned form. That's what I told my dressmaker, she said. Now, are you just going to stand there and gawk at me all night, or are we going to settle this? Right, yeah, Soren mumbled, shaking his head to clear his vision. There'd be time to look later, after he'd beaten her, preferably. He took a position next to her and tensed his body for takeoff. Ready? She asked. I was born ready. Rainbow Dash made an amused sound in deep in her chest and fanned her wings out, the tips lightly brushing against Soren's. A shiver that had nothing to do with the warm night air passed down his spine. Set! Soren exhaled slowly and leant backwards in anticipation. The night seemed to hold its breath in anticipation, and the only sound he could discern was a faint creaking of his bones and the pounding of his heart against his chest. An eternity seemed to pass. The stars wheeled overhead, and a new galaxy was born in the depths of space. While no more than a few seconds had passed, it seemed like an entire lifetime to Soren. Go! The words snapped back into focus. Everything bar the finish line became insignificant. Time suddenly raced to catch up. The stars froze in the sky, and the new galaxy faded to the obscurities of Soren's mind. Rainbow Dash had an early lead. Something Soren expected, thanks to her lighter body and the advantage of counting down. They shot along the track like lightning bolts, two blue streaks barely distinguishable as ponies. Slowly Soren started pulling ahead, his stronger wings and years of intense physical training paying off. He drew level with her and dared a quick, cheeky grin in her direction. He was rewarded by a brief look of shock and of surprise before he rocketed ahead. The last 100 meters vanished in the blink of an eye, and as the finish line had flashed under him, he let out a whoop in excitement. He did a large, lazy loop in the sky to bleed off speed before flaring his wings and landing lightly next to the still flapping flags that marked the finish line. Barely a second later, Rainbow Dash landed next to him, a defeated look on her face. I won! How about that, huh? Soren said happily, a goofy smile working its way onto his features. Guess I have to go on a date with you now, don't I? Such a pity. Tank really likes maple syrup, Rainbow said disappointedly. She eyed him as if imagining him drenched head to hoof in the sweet, sticky liquid. So, about this date then. How about we ditch the art exhibit and hit the town? I know there's a great little late-night burrito bar in the lower city. Rainbow tapped her chin thoughtfully. All right. You need a shower before you go anywhere, though. You smell like an Ursa's hindquarters. I don't think you smell much better, Sorin remarked, screwing up his nose. Joking aside, Rainbow Dash was right. The balmy night, coupled with the strenuous race, had left both ponies covered in a pungent odour and a thin sheen of sweat. Showers are over there. Hop to it. You know, I used to go here. I think I know where the showers are, Sorin deadpanned. Do you really think they'll be open at this time of night, though? Rainbow laughed. No feeble lot can stop me! All right, then, Sorin said with a shrug. You're taking the whole losing thing quite well, he remarked, letting her fall in step with him. You're a wonderbolt, you featherbrain. If you hadn't beat me, I'd be wondering what you were really doing around the office, Rainbow smirked. You knew you'd lose? Sorin asked with surprise. I suspected I would, Rainbow Dash admitted. And now that I did, you've ruined my winning streak, you dick. She growled playfully, kicking Sorin a few times for good measures. They reached the shower block, and true to her word, Rainbow Dash broke the lock open effortlessly. Useful. How did you do that? Sorin asked, trotting in behind her. A good magician never reveals how her art is done, she said, standing under a nozzle and letting a cone of cold water spray over her. She closed her eyes and hummed happily, not noticing that Sorin was staring at her dumbly. Problem? She asked, eventually realising that Sorin hadn't started his own shower. Sorin looked around the shower room slowly. Remember last time we were here? How could I forget? She asked, a trace of bitterness in her voice. Sorin smiled thinly and took the shower next to Rainbow Dash and sighed with relief as the cold spray of water washed over him. His wings unfurled slowly and rubbed against the rough tile floor. He swayed slowly from side to side, humming a tune he couldn't remember the name of. Sorin, do you really still like me? Rainbow Dash asked abruptly. Sorin stopped humming and stared at her, slightly surprised by her bluntness. After a moment's hesitation, he nodded his head. Yes, I do. She took a step closer. Good. I would have felt really stupid for kissing you if you didn't. What? Sorin managed before she leaned forward and pressed her lips against his for the second time in the dank shower room. Sorin's mind went into overdrive. Recovering from his shock, he kissed her back, his excitement visible in his wings, which immediately rose off the floor. You even think about sticking anything in me and I'll chop it off, Rainbow Dash warned, breaking the contact tentatively. Sorin looked slightly crestfallen and shuffled his hooves awkwardly. That was much better than last time, Sorin said, unsure of what to say. Yes, I'd say not hitting you in the face and condemning you to rot is a marked improvement, Rainbow Dash said, shooting a spurt of water at his face. Now, how about that burrito?